And now, aviation weather around Alaska. Hello, I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist Peter Chan with your Alaska Aviation Weather Outlook on this Monday, April 22nd, 2024. And this outlook is for Tuesday into Wednesday. And we're going to start out watching a few different systems. There's an area of low pressure that'll be in the northern Gulf, working toward near and south of Haida Gwaii, but it'll fling some moisture back up into the southern panhandle. Later Tuesday and into Wednesday, there'll be some light rain showers there. An area of rain showers or light rain pulling back along the western Gulf Coast, along the eastern Kenai, especially lower Cook Inlet. Kodiak Island with some IFR conditions there Tuesday morning. Areas along and just south of the Brooks Range, they're expecting IFR conditions, and also down along areas of the southern Seward Peninsula into the northern Bering. And then this arc you see here is associated with an occluded front that'll be working its way north and eastward toward the southwest coast and St. Lawrence Island as we get into Tuesday. And we have a band of IFR conditions, also stronger winds along this front, southeasterly winds will also cause some turbulence issues along areas of the southwest coast to St. Lawrence and back down into parts of the Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutian Chain. But going into Wednesday morning, we still see most of the disturbed weather here along areas of the northern Bering, including St. Lawrence down through Nunavik Island, the lower Yukon, Kuskokwim deltas, even in the western parts of Bristol Bay, and then on the North Pacific side here of the central Alaska Peninsula, just southwest of Kodiak Island. And then with the remnants of whatever that front does here, maybe some secondary low development in the North Pacific, we find IFR conditions again from near the Bering Strait through St. Lawrence, Nunavik Island, along areas of the southwest coast, and then near and south of Kodiak Island. Still anticipating a fair amount of VFR conditions during the day on Wednesday here through the central eastern interior. There still is a bit of a remnant of a ridge of high pressure that's going to keep things, at least some better VFR weather there. But starting out looking at past conditions in the central portion of the Brooks Range, heading toward the east. Anatuvik Pass IFR early on Tuesday becoming MVFR. Adigan also some IFR conditions early in the day becoming MVFR. As we go down around Lake Clark and Merrill in the western arm of the Alaska Range, IFR conditions early in the day Tuesday giving way to MVFR conditions. Rainy Pass could be kind of on that northeastern edge of the IFR conditions early Tuesday before becoming VFR. And right now, Windy Pass may see an interval of MVFR conditions overnight into early Tuesday morning, giving way to VFR conditions. But farther east along the Alaska Range, Isabel as well as Mentasta passes should generally enjoy VFR conditions during the day on Tuesday. And then coming down across the Copper River Basin, VFR conditions, Tanita Pass, VFR. And Portage Pass should generally have VFR conditions, but I can't rule out some MVFR conditions at least Tuesday morning along the east entrance there, especially as you get out toward Prince William Sound. And then in the far north end of the Panhandle, Chilkoot and White should generally see VFR conditions with more of a northerly flow there in the northern Panhandle. Freezing levels Tuesday morning, the surface freezing line has bumped upward into past the central Bering to just south of St. Matthew to around Nunavik Island, and then running inland across the southern interior. And we're looking at freezing levels aloft, slightly higher. There's a little bit of a ridge axis in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere from northwest Canada toward the central interior. And then notice how freezing levels climb upwards 6,000 feet along the lower Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians. That's associated with that front that is going to be moving north and eastward up towards St. Lawrence and along the southwest coast. The low just kind of sits and spins back here through the lower half of the Bering Sea. So as a result, we find the greatest threat for icing will be associated with this area of low pressure. In fact, the front's really wrapped around it. And along that front, as it works its way into the southwest coast, there could be some moderate icing from St. Lawrence down along the YK deltas outside there, Bristol Bay, in through the central and lower portion of the Alaska Peninsula, where freezing levels are higher aloft, above 8,000 feet in the thicker clouds. And then back here to the west, beneath the cold pool of air aloft, we find freezing levels lower. And in fact, there will be some areas of snow and mixed precipitation back toward the western central Aleutians wrapping in around this low. Back out across the Gulf area, There are going to be some light showers that linger areas of the panhandle, especially the southern half, and then back here toward the Kenai coastline there could be a little bit of icing, but it's pretty hit or miss. And then in the far north along the Arctic coast, we've had some lower cloud cover, some areas of fog. So certainly any of the clouds you get above and into, there could be some moderate icing potentially in some of those lower clouds. For the jet stream level, we still have this ridge of high pressure out over north central Canada, extending a little bit of an axis back toward Alaska, but the pattern has become more amplified. You can see here's the low circulation over the Bering, and then it comes up, that amplification of kind of a shortwave intermediate ridge over southwest Alaska. And as we drop it down to 700 millibars or 9,000 feet, we find broad circulation around low pressure here in the lower half of the Bering Sea that's influencing weather across the Aleutians and then pushing up along, especially into the southwestern portion of the state and up the Alaska Peninsula. Further east, quieter conditions across the interior mainland and even across the Gulf. The wind field is not going to be all that strong. So the main impacts from wind and potentially turbulence are along the frontal systems, really wrapped in around this low. I can take and draw my finger like this. That's the occluded front, shows very well like a pinwheel. And some of the stronger winds at 3,000 feet, Toland Strait up to St. Lawrence Island, so here along the southwest coast, pushing up toward Bristol Bay. And then also a broad belt of strong winds in excess of 50 knots out of the southwest to west, pushing through the central Aleutians. So as a result, you know where you can find the most significant turbulence. There could be severe turbulence in the central Aleutians on Tuesday, surface to 3,000 feet, but a broad area of moderate turbulence across the Aleutian chain, maybe just a little bit of a break, kind of following the passage of that front. But along and ahead of that front, a broad belt of moderate turbulence extends from the eastern Russia coastline there in the Bering Strait down across St. Lawrence through the YK deltas into Bristol Bay and then along the lower half of the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians back to St. Paul, and then also a little pocket perhaps of some moderate turbulence there and just along the outer southwest coastline there of the lower panhandle, surface to 6,000 feet.